Okay, thank you. Well, the Mishnah Mem Chesam Beis. So Shar, yeah, 4 lines up in the bottom. Shar Shahaya Mischaven Lechaveira. So a Shar that had kavana to gore its friend, right? Meaning another ox. Because Isha, and then it hit a woman. But Yatsa Yilader, she had a miscarriage. Her fetus went out. She had a miscarriage. Potter midmei vladus. He is potter from paying for the fetus, right? The Adam, we'll see in the Gemara why that is. But again, a shar had kavanah to hit another shar, and by mistake he hits a woman. She is, and he causes her a miscarriage. He doesn't have to pay anything. But Adam, and a man who has kavanah to hit his friend, and he ends up hitting the woman, and she miscarries. So then Mishalim Demei V'Lodas, he has to pay the amount of the fetus. So now we have a machlokes of exactly how to pay for the fetus. How do you pay for the mevladas? Shamanas isha kamihi yofa ad shelo yoda. So you try and evaluate how much was the woman. The literal translation is how beautiful was she, but how much was she worth before she had the baby? Meaning how much was a pregnant woman worth on the slave market? But kamihi yofa misha yoda, and how much is she worth if she had the baby? Meaning how much is a pregnant woman worth versus a non-pregnant woman? And whatever that discrepancy is, that's what you damage. So let's say a pregnant woman's worth $110 and a non-pregnant woman is worth $100. So you damage the guy $10. Who gets the money? That already we learned a couple of days ago. The husband gets the money. The fetus belongs to the husband, not to the wife. Right? We're going to see more of that. Amar Rav Shimon Gamliel, on Tamar Aleph now. In Cain, if that's the case, Misha Isha Yoledes, Mishabachas. Right? If a woman gives birth, then she's going to be worth more. We're going to see in the Gemara. Rashi says Mefarish Gemara. We'll see in the Gemara exactly what he means with that line. But either way, he says Ela Shaman as Avladas Kamma Yofen. No, you don't evaluate how much the woman is worth. You evaluate how much a person would be paying for a fetus. How much would a person pay for a fetus? Meaning, a guy comes over to you with a business proposition. He says, this basketball player who was 7 foot tall and 300 pounds is having a baby with this lady and it's up for auction, right? So Mustama, somebody be willing to pay decent money for that fetus because it'll be a good effort.
Gershon asked that a few days ago.
No, but how much would a person be willing to pay? You'll buy it. You'll get it when it comes out. Whatever. I'm just saying a muscle for how you figure out how much it's worth.
I'm saying, but when it was the woman, we're valuing her as a slave, and now we're valuing this fetus as a prized fetus.
Well,
the woman when the ox scored, so the first opinion was we're valuing her on the slave market. She could have been the CEO of a company, but we're valuing her on the slave market.
Correct.
And but the Vlad, that's a prized Vlad that we're assessing as a prized Vlad.
Yeah, that's basically what he's saying. He's saying, okay. He's saying that it has nothing to do with the mother. His main point, of Shimon Gamliel's main point, is that we don't care. The mother could be the CEO of whatever, or married, or formerly married to the CEO, right? It doesn't make a difference. The Vlad is the Vlad.
He's asking a different question. If you give an example of the child being a child of a 7-foot basketball player, that was just an example. He's saying that the mother gets evaluated on the slave, and your example.
Yeah, that's exactly the machlokes of Shimon Gamliel and Tana Kamma, right? That we're going to see in the Gemara. That's exactly the machlokes. Rav Shimon Gamliel's tining. What does this have to do with the mother, the worth of the mother?
Correct, but it's not that the child's a prized child.
No, that's why it was an example, right? It's an example, right? But anyway, the main machlokes, and we'll see in the Gemara, is that the Tana Kamma hold, you just take the whole woman and see how much less she's worth. Shimon Gamliel says, what does the woman have to do with the fetus? The woman doesn't belong to the husband. She wasn't damaged. The fetus was damaged. So why are you calculating the woman? Fine. But nice and labal, and then it goes to the husband, right? Ve'im ein labal. Let's say she doesn't have a husband, right? Nice and liyarshav. His yarshim get it, right? Which is another, right? That's what we're saying, that he's not even alive, and yet his yarshim collect the feed, collect the money for her for her baby that got miscarried. She's got the money goes to her husband's kids, right? Let's say she was a shifcha, and then she was freed.
And if they were divorced, it also goes to his Yarshim?
No, divorce. No, divorce. We said no. Divorce, they don't get it.
Okay.
They'll split it, right? What? It goes to the Yarshim too? Yarshim? No, I thought we said they split it. If they didn't, we have it. You weren't talking to me. Okay. I thought we divorced. We said they split it. I don't remember. That's a few days ago already, Rabbaran. I'm saying. What are you gonna do? So a giyaris, or if she's a giyaris, right? Meaning it's a ger married to giyaris, so there are no yarshim. So then potter. That's the main point here, because we'll see that at the bottom of the Gemara. He becomes potter, meaning a shifcha that got freed, or a giyaris, and they have no yarshim, right? So normally, what happens when a ger dies and there's no yarshim? Everything becomes hefker, right? The Mishnah is saying no, nobody else can take it. He doesn't even have to pay. He doesn't even have to pay. We don't say like pay and then we'll throw it out in the street and whoever gets it gets it. No, he doesn't have to pay. Okay, so Zok the Gemara, time of the Masal, actually, Frag the Gemara asked time 4 lines down. Time of the Mischav and Lechavera. HaMischav and Leisha, Mishalim to Mevaladis. It's mashma that's only the reason why the shor is potter is because he was living Mechaven to hit another shor. But if he would be Mechaven Leisha, Mishalim to Mevaladis. We would pay the Mevaladis. Let me have to give to the Rav Ada Barava. Let's say it's a Kashan Rav Ada Barava, Domer Rav Ada Barava. Shvarim sheneschamnu leisha paturim with the Mevaladis. Shvarim that have kavana, even they have kavana to hit a woman, they're potter from the Mevaladis. Right? So meaning a shor that gores a woman and causes her to have a miscarriage, even if it's intentional, doesn't make a difference. He doesn't pay. So meaning, so then why does the Mishnah make it sound like only if he was unintentional, right? Because it's even if it's intentional, he's potter. He really, even if he did have kavanah to hit the woman, meaning the ox, he's still potter. Oh, so why do you teach that he had kavanah to hit his friend the ox and he ended up hitting a woman? I did the Adam. Since the Seifa needed to talk about a man intentionally or whatever, intentionally hitting his friend, but unintentionally hitting the woman, that's what the pasuk is talking about. So that's why the Reisha said it, but it's lav dafka, meaning the reason why the Reisha said the same terminology as the Seifa is to keep it a uniform.
Where's this
uniform terminology?
Where's this thing from the Mishnah or Brexit?
The Rav Ada Barava is in Amayra. I mean, where is it?
The Rav Ada Barava said, he said that I'm saying
He's basically saying it's lav dafka.
but he's an Amor.
What?
Using a Mishnah now.
What do you mean? He's explaining the
Amor.
mission.
Okay, he's an Amor.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So Amar Papa, Shor Shanogichas Ashifcha. Here's a very interesting thing. Yeah. Shor Shanogichas Ashifcha v'yatzu yilada. So let's say the Shor gores a Shifcha, and she gives birth, whatever she miscarries. Mishalim to make bloodless, then he has to pay. Right? My time, meaning a Yid, if a Shor gores a Jewish woman and she miscarries, Potter. He gores a guy, chayev, meaning it has to be a guy that's a shifcha because it's owned by Yid. My timer, chamarta ma'avrasa ba'alma hu dahazik. A chamor, or a female chamor, chamarta ma'abarta, a pregnant chamor is what he damaged. Meaning, he basically damaged the animal that belonged to the person. The Amar Krok, as the pasuk says, shvu lachem poi ima chamor. Stay here with ima chamor. Right? Avram told Eliezer by the Akedah. By the Akedah, said, you stay here. We darshan am hadoim chamor. We say that he is a nation that's similar to a chamor, right? So therefore, you do have to pay. If a shar gores a shivcha miscarries, that fetus you do have to pay for. Now, what's with miika midi? Meaning, so now comes out that it's much stricter a guy is more strict than a yid. No? Know what we're saying?
Only in Ilchis Mamonis. It's really because it's much worse to go Yid than a Shivcha.
Right. From the Mamonis, in the Mamonis department.
Yeah, but it's just because Mamonis wouldn't be enough to pay for Vlad of the Yid.
True, but comes out that if you have a choice, if an owner has a choice, whether it should be, the shar should gore his wife or the shifcha, he's going to make more money. Does the shifcha, right? As weird as that is, right? That's what comes out. Okay, fine, fine. Ketan Mashalim Demei V'Lados. So how do you pay Demei V'Lados? Demei V'Lados. What are you saying? The worth of the V'Lados? Shvach V'Lados Mibayile. You should have said the Shevach, or really the right way to pronounce it, Shevach. Right? It should be how
Really?
much.
Why? Isn't it
What?
Shvach?
Yeah.
It's Shvach. Shevach is praise. Shvach is value.
I don't know. I think the word is Shevach. I don't know.
Archgo has a segol.
Segel.
It's a sheva.
Shevach. There you go. I think that's the proper way to pronounce it, but I don't know. Meaning, what the Gemara's kasha is that what are you doing? You're calculating how much a pregnant woman is worth versus a woman who's not pregnant, right? So that means that you're not just calculating the fetus, you're calculating the woman too, right? She's bigger, etc., like we said yesterday's stuff, right? So it's not just the Mevladis, it's the whole improvement of the woman. So the Gemara answers, Hachanami Kamar, you're right, that's what it says. Ketzah Mishal Dmei V'Lados V'Shvach V'Lados. It doesn't just say Dmei V'Lados, it means the worth of the V'Lados and the Shvach of the V'Lados. Shamanes Isha, Kami Hi Yafa Ad Shelo Yolda. How much was the woman worth before she gave birth? But Kami Hi Yafa Misha Yolda, and how much is she worth once she gives birth? And whatever the difference is, that's what he damaged. Okay, that's the Tanakam, right? Reb Shimon Gamliel disagrees. So this we didn't know exactly what that meant. When the woman has a baby, she is improved. Maika Amar. Amar Rabba, Hachika Amar. Is a woman worth more before she has the baby? A woman is worth more after she has a baby than before she has a baby. Right? Now, why is this? So Rashi says, because we don't know if this woman's going to be able to survive birth. How do you know the woman's going to survive birth? Maybe she's the type of woman that her body can't hack birth. So nobody's going to want to pay a lot of money for this lady when she's pregnant because she may not survive pregnancy. Right? Masha Enkin, once she had a baby, so then the assumption is that, she had a baby and she survived, so now she could have more babies. And then Mamela, she's worth more. Right? So that's Reb Shimon Gamliel's Naftali back here is not liking this Gemara. Right? So that's why. Right? Meaning we don't nowadays we don't look.
It's not like nowadays. It's not like that.
What?
Nowadays pregnancy is not as scary.
Now it's not as scary. So I wonder if Ataka changes. Right?
There are other reasons why.
What?
There are other reasons why she's worth more afterwards. She can do more afterwards physically.
Because
When she's 8 months pregnant, there's a lot she can't do.
No, but looking at you're buying the slave for the whole thing. Right? But anyways, on this note, and this Shiloh comes up almost daily, women who want to be induced. Shaloi Bisman. Right? Women want to be induced Shaloi Bisman. Right? So now
Wait, Tzviagiv, are we going back on the Mishnah now? We're talking about a Yiddish woman, not a slave. We're not talking about a shifcha.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I thought you said we're talking about a slave.
No. I mean, if you read this Gemara, you might think that a Yiddish woman is a slave, I wouldn't blame anybody for saying that coming out of this daf.
What's the shot with inducement?
So Rav Moshe Feinstein writes, and he says you're not supposed to induce because a woman has a special skula to survive going through birth. And there's a mesugel dika time that Hashem chose for her to have this baby and survive it. And if you take a different time, then that might not be the time that's mesugel. That's what Moshe says, and most poskim have adopted this attitude. Obviously, minus if there's a medical issue. Right? If there's a medical issue, then Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave us the technology, etc., knowledge to know to avoid having these problems. But all things being equal, a woman should not induce. What's the problem, Rabbi?
No, excuse me. Obviously, Rav Moshe he knew better than me because he lived 100. He was born over 100 years ago.
And
how many?
He wouldn't have Carvel either. Let's put that out there.
Well, at least his sons are smart enough to eat Carvel.
Yeah.
But he knew better than me. How many more? I don't know the percentages. I have no idea. Of women that died in childbirth 100 years ago, before the past 75 years, whatever it is.
Right.
So I don't understand.
No, it's
I don't understand what he's saying.
What do you mean? Fakert, he's saying, unless you have a medical reason, which will avoid her going into whatever extra sakonas, don't just do it. Don't induce when it's not the zman.
But he's saying the zman was great. I'm saying the zman was not. Women died in childbirth.
Yeah, but but the majority of women did not.
Baruch Hashem, that's what
So that's what he's saying. He's saying the majority of women did not die in childbirth because there's a special siyata d'shmayim and a shamayim for them to survive something that puts them into sakana. He's saying, but
I googled it. It said about 1% of women who died in childbirth in the 19th century.
And now
they're not alive anymore.
You mean in developed world or in the
developed? I don't know if any of the world developed, whatever. The officially developed world.
All right. This makes a big shaila in Pitocin. Let's say she goes into labor at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And they decide they're going to give her Pitocin and get things moving along, and she has the baby at 11 o'clock at night, or whatever the day before, and then but without Pitocin, so maybe it'd be another 4 hours or 5 hours, and it'd be a different day already.
Once they're in labor and they need to speed it along, so Pitocin is okay. All those things, it's just talking about. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I got a call Motzei Shabbos from somebody. She's a dentist or some dentist, and she scheduled an induction for Monday. And then she was reading Rabbi Forst's book, and Rabbi Forst wrote in the book that you're not allowed to do an induction unless you have a good reason. And she had no good reason. She was just timing it exactly for Monday. So she called her, she Motzei Shabbos, 12 o'clock at night. What should she do now? She's going in, she's scheduled for an induction on Monday. So I said, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the person don't allow it. But then she was 2 centimeters dilated already, and she had strep B. So she already had some medical zachin. So it was masubik about it. I said to her, go in on Monday, see what's going on. Hopefully you'll be a little bit more dilated, but she really wanted to have this baby. So I said, Lani is taiti, it's psychological. If you really, really want to have this baby, you're going to have this baby. 4:30 a.m., Monday morning, she went into labor and had the baby by like 10 o'clock.
You could get Icky, he could give brachas now.
I don't know if Icky's on. Yeah. That wasn't the point.
What's 1% of a million?
Now you're asking me to do numbers.
No, somebody should just say
10,000.
That's a monstrous number.
It is. Yeah, it is. So, yeah.
So well, that's a huge number of women died in childbirth.
You're saying so the whole premise of
But
Ramosha.
but it's still 1%.
Okay, but let's say now it's 0%. So that's a monstrous number.
Right, but
Every million births, there was 10,000 ladies died. That's
it is. But the bottom line is,
I'm not sure the same percentage
Yeah.
applied by either.
Yeah, true.
what.
True, Mama.
I'm not sure that was the percentage of Jewish births. That was the worldwide percentage. The Jewish percentage was much lower in the medieval times than the non-Jewish.
how do you know the Jewish percentage, Gershon? Where did you see it?
One of the Igros Rambam about it, I think.
I mean, they said 1 in 100 and 1 in 200, but I mean, obviously, the part of the problem was the infection rate, where a lot of the obstetricians wouldn't even wash their hands.
Yeah,
You go
whatever the
from examining
reason.
cadaver, go to delivering a baby. So once,
Good, but-
that helped a lot when they figured out you have to wash your hands. That would decrease the mortality rate, and that's
Yeah,
a
but
known
that's-
fact.
Okay, but well, Rabban, really what you have to do is see when people go through other medical things, what are the percentages of death back then, and how much higher is it? Is it higher or less than birth? And then
Ein hachanami, ein
yeah,
hachanami.
yeah. Okay, whatever it is, but that's what the Gemara is saying here. That Rav Shimon Gamliel, Rav is saying that a woman who's already had a baby. Now, I don't understand the math with that either. Just because she already had a baby doesn't mean that chas v'shalom something's not going to happen after that. But it seems like it's proven. The worth is going to go up, right? That the past is a, what do you call it when in the
A
financial?
harbinger.
A harbinger of the future. It's the opposite of the financial companies, right? If she already had a baby and she survived, then l'chayra she's going to survive by it. Yeah. Ella. So then basically that's what he means. He means that she's actually worth more after birth. Ella shaman as a blood is v'nois lebal. You just evaluate how much the blood is worth. You give it to the husband, right? Tanya nami hachi v'chi isha mishvachas koydem sheteled yosim elach sheteled. Is a woman worth more before she gives birth than after she gives birth? Aloi isha mishvachas elach sheteled yosim koydem sheteled. Right, a woman's worth more after she gives birth. Ella shaman as a blood is nice in the bowel. You evaluate the blood is given to the bowel. That's a brayz exactly like Rav Shimon Gamliel. Okay, so that's Rabba's pshat. Right, Rava Amar, a similar pshat but a little different. Rava Amar Hachi Isha Lami Sheyeledes Mishabachas. The woman's worth that goes up, right? Is she giving her the worth of her body that's worth more now because she's pregnant? She has to give that to her husband. Bein la'atzma b'shvach blodas klum. Listening to Naftali, she's not going to get shvach blodas at all. Meaning, not shvach blodas means that her body is worth more, right? Which is stamakat. I mean, for the bodies are worth more because there's more on their body. Right? Again, shvach blodas doesn't mean the fetus. The fetus is the fetus that belongs to the husband. That's a beferish pasuk in the Torah. We're talking about where she gains weight, gains more skin, whatever we said yesterday. Why should that go to the husband? Elo shamanis of blodas v'noisim lebal. You evaluate the vlad, and that goes to the baal. The shvach blodas and the improvement of her body, that cholkim you split. Right. So again, not only is she not getting the vlad that she's carrying, that goes to the husband, even her own worth of her own body that went up, she has to split with her husband. Right? So it's slightly different pshat, Rabba's pshat than Rabba. Again, Rabba holds that she gets to keep her full worth, and Rabba holds that she splits it. But according to both of them, the husband doesn't exclusively get it. Tani nami hachi. Rav Shimon Gamliel. In this one, it says, "Is Rav Shimon Gamliel the brayse? Does a woman give her worth to the other one, to the husband? Ve'ein la'atzma b'shvach blodas klum. El shaman nezik b'pnei atma v'tzar b'pnei atma v'shaman esa blodas v'noisen labal v'shach v'shvach blodas cholke." So we have a brayse that's like Rava too, but now we have a stira. Because we have two brayses like Rav Shimon Gamliel. One says that she splits her worth, and one says she gets to keep all of it. So Kasha the Rav Shimon Gamliel, Rav Shimon Gamliel, When it answers like kasha kam b'vakeres, kam b'she'enu b'vakeres. That's simple teretz. One is talking about where it's the oldest fetus, the oldest baby. So in Mela, we don't know. We don't know that the woman is going to survive, right? But where it's not a bechor, and meaning she already had a baby, so then she's already worth more, right? And Mamela, she's so that's why she's worth more. Fine. For Rabbanon, the Amri Shvach Bloodus Nami Labal my timer. So in the Rabbanon who say that the Shvach Bloodus goes to the husband, why are they saying it for? Right? Reb Shimon holds that they should split it. So when it answers it says that her baby goes out. Any idea she hara? Of course I know she was pregnant, right? Mahara. Right? What does it say that? Why does it say she was pregnant? Right? What's the whole pasuk again? The pasuk is v'yinotzu anoshim. Right? The men are fighting and they hit a pregnant woman. V'yotzu yilodeh. Right? Why do you have to say that they hit a pregnant woman and yotzu yilodeh? Just say yotzu yilodeh. Right? We know she's not having a baby unless she's pregnant. So what's the extra word hara? Right? Matam alav hara lo'imelav shvach haroyin lebal. The improvement of the pregnancy goes to the husband. That's what it's telling you. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, hi hara, my daughter. So what does Rav Shimon ben Gamliel do with the word hara? Until he hits the woman next to her, what do you call it? Her torso or whatever it is. Well, no, I'm sorry. Here it means the stomach, meaning if you hit the lady on the arm and she has a miscarriage, that's l'chara not caused by you, right? So you have to hit her where it would hurt. I guess that's what you'd say, right? So Amra Papa Loitem connected base around mamish ela kol hechad the salik pay shichama levlad doesn't have to be dafka right where the baby is, like in the stomach, right? As long as there's going to be heat to the vlad from the hit, meaning somewhere, anywhere in the torso. That's what I would say, right? Lafuke yad v'regel delay comes to exclude the hand and the foot. If you hit her there, then that's not going to be your achrayis. Okay, fine. Right? So, right. So if she was a shivcha and a shtachra or giyaris, then he's potter. Again, this is talking about where they have no yarshin. Either they were slaves and then they were freed, and then she was pregnant. Right. Obviously, she got pregnant before. Right. And then meaning there's no yarshin. So bottom line is no yarshin. The guy's potter. Yeah. So Amar Rabba says a little bit of how do you call it? Qualifies it, if that's the word. Amar Rabba lo shano elashe chava ba b'chai hager umeis hager. I mean, it's talking about where she got hit, meaning the ger's pregnant wife got hit when he was alive, and then he died. The kivan the chava ba b'chai hager, since she was hit when the ger was alive, zachabu ger. The ger was zaycha in the money, right? The kivan the meis hager zachabu ben hager. And since the ger died and he has no yarshin, so he gets the yarshin the ger. Right. So again, it had to be where the hitting happened when the ger was still alive. But once the ger died and then he hits her, she's the one that gets the money, right? Because he was no longer alive. I mean, he wasn't shot that if he was alive.
She yarish her husband?
What?
The wife doesn't yarish her husband with his own children?
Not from the ger.
Why? He's married to her.
What? No, first of all, a wife does not yarish her husband.
There's no kids?
Even there's no kids. It goes to siblings and then brothers, right? What's the order? Father, brother? I don't remember.
Oile v'yoris.
The wife's not on the list?
Yoyer v'oile.
The wife's not on the
If
list.
there's no brothers, there's no what's it called? The wife's
That's
not
right, Naftali. So it's not the wife with a candlestick in the Sifriyah. She didn't do it because she didn't get nothing from it.
The wife is on the list with the Rabbana, not with the Raisa.
She's on the list with the Rabbanan? At what point? What point does she go?
last.
I think after the kids.
It's last.
No, after the kids, before the father.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Either way, so again, if Rabba's saying that only if the hitting, the miscarriage happened when the husband's still alive. If the miscarriage happened when the husband was dead, then she doesn't get then she gets everything, right? Because the husband wasn't alive. And then he has to pay to her. That's Rabba's pshat. Amar Rav Chisda, Mari Dechi, right? The Mari Dechi means Rashi says the Baal Shmuazu, the one who said this over. Fetuses are considered money, and she's getting money what it's not money. What, it's just hefker, so it's available to her to be kind of right. Ella isa lebal zacha lerachmana. If the husband is there, then the Torah, like we said, the Torah is a perish of psukim. The Torah gives it to him. Less lebal loy, but if the husband's not there, then he doesn't get it. Right? Meaning, so it has nothing to do with when the damage happened. Right? Meaning, it has nothing to do whether the husband was alive when the fetus was there and then the fetus got hit. Nothing to do with that. Right? Fine. So Meisvei, so when it's a kash on Rabba, so Hika is a Isha, a guy hits a woman, and she has a miscarriage. Nice and Nezek, here we go, ready? Again, a guy hits a woman and she miscarries. So he has to give Nezek, Bitsar, the Isha, right? So the damage and the Tsar goes to the woman. The Mevladas Labal. Then the Demei Vladas goes to the Baal. Ein Habal, if the husband is not around. Nois and Liyarsha, it goes to his Yarshim. Ein Isha, if the woman's not around. Nois and Liyasha, her Yarshim get it. Haisa Shivcha and Ishtachra, like in our Mishnah. Oy, Giyaris, Zacha, then he's Zaycha, meaning the damager is Zaycha, and he doesn't have to pay anything. So what do you see? You see that this price that doesn't differentiate when the damage happened to this woman, when the miscarriage happened. It just says that she's a shivcha nishtachra. So what answer is Amri, this price is not any better than our Mishnah. The Mishnah didn't differentiate either, but we, meaning Rava, said no. It's only applicable when she was hit when the husband was alive. It's talking about where the miscarriage happened when he was alive, right? And then the ger died. That's one terence. So meaning we're just saying that it's just an explanation of the brisa. Biba is saying, we're saying another pshat. La'achar misas ger. It happened after the misa of the ger. On Tamid Beis now. The Tani zachsa, and learn that she was zaycha. Don't say zacha that he was zaycha. Say zachsa. Right? So Tosfos says, doesn't mean that we're changing the word. We're not adding a saf to the word zacha. Right? We're saying zachsa. You see, Tosfos says we're not meaning magia the brisa. We're not changing it. When it says zacha, it says misha yesh lo schus. It doesn't mean zacha that the guy is zaycha. It means the woman is zaycha in it. Okay, so basically we have a machlokes tanoim. We have a machlokes amarayim whether this damage has to happen when the ger husband is still alive or not. So let's say it's a machlokes tanoim. Right? It seems to be beferish. Bas Yisrael shenosis leger. Right? Bas Yisrael married a ger b'nesabra mimenu. She got pregnant b'chava ba b'chay hager, and she got hit in the life of the ger. Nice and the mevladas leger. Then you have to give the demei v'ladas to the ger, like any other standard husband gets the money from the fetus. La'achar misas hager. But after the misa of the ger, tani chada chayiv, the tani chada potter. We learned one that the damager is chayiv to pay, and then we learned another one that is potter. My love, tanoim. So then lachayr, that's a machlokes tanoim. Right, the machlokes Rabbi Yosef and Rabba is a machlokes tanoim. So when it answers l'Rabba v'adei tanoim, according to Rabba, for sure is a machlokes tanoim. Again, Rabba is the one that says we differentiate between whether the fetus was killed before the husband was alive or after the husband was alive. So there's no way to understand. There's no way for that to fit into the mandama that says potter. El Rav Chisda, mi lema Tanahi. According to Rav Chisda, who says it has to be a machlokes Tanaim? So Gemara says like kasha, right? It's because we could say that it's not a machlokes Tanaim because one is the Rabbanon and one is Rav Shimon Gamliel. Right? One is the Rabbanon that says that the husband collects the home money for her improvements, and Rav Shimon Gamliel holds that she collects it, right? So when the husband died, and then the husband died, and then the miscarriage happened, it's not going to make a difference, right? According to Rav Shimon Gamliel. Right, because all the money was going to her anyway, so who cares when he died, right? And according to Rabbanu, it would make a difference. So the Gemara says, "Ira Shimon Gamliel." So then, my yearly achamisa, I feel mechaim nami is palga. So according to Shimon Gamliel says she always gets the money, right? So what's the difference whether it happened when the husband was alive or not? So when it answers mechaim islay palga. When he's alive, she's going to get half because she's going to have to split it with him. But after Misa, she gets everything. That's the second way of saying it. Or we could say they're both going. I'm saying that's the first way, is the second way. Both of them are Shimon Gamliel. Kan b'shvach blodas, kan b'dmei blodas. One is talking about the shvach blodas, one brisa, right? That says that the brisa says that the guy has to pay. Is talking about the shvach v'lodas, because that goes to the wife. Kan b'demei v'lodas, with the demei v'lodas, that's going to depend on whether the husband was alive when the goring happened. So when I ask Amri, well, so why don't we say mishvach v'lodas lishma demei v'lodas? That if you're saying that the shvach v'lodas, that goes, the wife gets it after the husband dies. So then why don't you say on the Demei Vlodas too, meaning if the Shvach Vlodas goes to the wife, so the Demei Vlodas should also go to the wife. That's one. And with Rav Shimon Gamliel, Lishma D'Rabbanan, and if Rav Shimon Gamliel holds, right, meaning Rav Shimon Gamliel holds that you split the Shvach Vlodas, meaning her improvement of her body, and she gets it if he's not alive, so then that should say that the Rabbanan should agree that after the husband dies, he also gets it. Meaning the machlokes of Shimon Gamliel and the Rabbanan has nothing to do with when the husband died. That's a machlokes Amirayim. The machlokes between Shimon Gamliel and the Rabbanan is whether she gets her improvements or not. Right? So, but if Rav Shimon Gamliel is Maida, so then the Rabbanan should also be Maida that once he dies, she gets everything. So we say, no, you can't say that. Amri loy. No. Shvach v'lodas. The shvach v'lod is the improvement of her body. The shaycha yada begavayu, that her hand is in it the whole time. Meaning, because according to Shimon Gamliel, she was always getting half of that money. So zachi b'bekula. And then when he dies, so she gets everything because she was already halfway home. The meivladas, the loy shaycha yada begavayu, but the meivladas that it's not shaykh like zachi b'klal. She's not zaycha in it at all, according to that shita. Okay, now the Gemara wants to talking about Gerim with Yerusha, so now the Gemara continues like that. Rav Yeva Sami Rav Nachman. Rav Yeva Sami asked Rav Nachman, Mafsik b'shtarois of shel ger, somebody who's holding on to shtaros of a ger. Mahu, what's the din? Meaning, a ger dies, he's got no yarshim, and he's got a bunch of documents. So Rashi says the documents are, liens that he has on people's properties. So if you have these documents, you can go take these properties, right? So, and it's hefker. So a guy grabs onto these documents. What was he grabbing onto the documents for? When he was grabbing these documents, he didn't care to have the documents. This was just his way of moving into the land that this ger owned. But the bottom line is he didn't hold the land. He just held the documents. Meaning, they put out the call that this ger died. He's got no yarshim. One guy's smart. He runs to the bank or whatever, runs to the guy's safe, breaks it open, takes all the shtaros. He thinks that's it. I got the land. Another guy runs to the land and moves into the land. Right? I'm just making it a little bit more. I'm flowering it up a little bit. So now, the shaila is the guy that grabbed the documents. Did he grab the documents because he wanted the land? Because if he did, he didn't. He wasn't kind of the land. He was kind of documents. The documents is not land, right? So ubara haloyavsik ushtar anami lakana, and he's not kind of the star. The love died to the star. He didn't care to have the star. He wanted to have the land, so he got nothing. Right? So that's one way of looking at it. His das is on both. He wants to actually be kind of the star and the land. Meaning star, what we're saying by star, we just mean to have the paper. Right? So Malay, Ani Myri, answer me, my master. Why would this guy run after the documents? He just needs a cover for his bottle. Right? That's what they would use. They would use leather to cover their bottle. So what do you think he's grabbing this star for? He's grabbing the star because he wants the land, not because he needs some leather bottle covers. So Amalei, lotzur velotzur. No, he's rapping and he's rapping, meaning no, he wants to be able to. All he wants is he shot for a very small portion of this guy's Yerusha. He just wanted to have bottle caps, so he went after that. But he really didn't have in mind to be kind of the land. Okay, it's an interesting machlokes. Fine. Next case, Amar Rabba, mashkoine shel Yisrael biad ger. So let's say a yid borrowed money from a ger and he gave him a mashkin, right? He gave him his watch. Umeis hager. Now the ger died. So the ger died. He's got no yoshim. So can this guy go take back his mashkin? The loan is for sure nullified. And what's with the mashkin? But another yid was smart, and he went and grabbed the guy's watch. I mean, he borrowed money from the ger. He left the ger his watch. He pawned it. Right? He left the ger his watch. Then the announcement goes out that the ger died. So another yid goes and runs and takes the watch, thinking that it's the ger's watch. But the yid, the borrower, says, "What do you mean? That's my watch." So what's the din? So my we take it out of that yid's hand. My time akimin to meis lo ger pakale shibude. When the ger dies, the shibud is done, meaning the whole deal is done. So since the deal is done, the watch reverts back to the owner instantly, and therefore, if another yid comes and wants to take the watch, it's no go. That's case number one. Now, what about the opposite? Mashkoine shel ger biyad Yisrael. If the yid lent the ger money, and now the yid is holding on to the mashkin of the ger, and the ger died. Umeis hager, and the ger died. Uba Yisrael achav hifsik by, and another yid comes, grabs onto the watch. Zeh kana keneged ma'aseh. So we're saying that the one who grabbed the watch, he one second. This is the other way. Zeh kana keneged ma'aseh. The one who was owed money is kind of the amount of the watch that he's owed. Let's say the loan was a $5,000 loan, and the watch is a $10,000 watch. So the first $5,000 goes to the lender, and the other $5,000 will go to the finders keepers, right? Is that kind of a shah? And the other guy is kind of,
and not get punished.
Yeah, but it was a ger's.
But it's in your house. You had to deal.
First of all, we don't know whose rishus it was. But it says it's biyad Yisrael, right?
To take it from the Yisrael
because it belonged to the ger.
No, the Yisrael had it already.
Became hefker, so that's what the Gemara is going to say. Well,
He's asking the next shot, yeah.
Well, that was the shiloh. Was he kind of? No, I don't think Naphtali is coming from that angle.
Isn't he asking the Gemara's next kasha?
Well, he's asking out. Well, he's not asking out. His chata should be kind of, but he is. Okay, let's see.
Don't give me so much credit.
Yeah. So Vamai, Gemara asks Vamai tikni lechatzera. Why wouldn't the yid, again, the yid's holding on to the watch of the ger because that's collateral. Now the ger died. So we're saying another yid comes and grabs it, he can get the extras. So why? The chatzor should be instantly kind. Tikni lechatzera. The chatzor of a person is kind of him even without his knowledge. Meaning, if you have you have to have a fence, right? You find a $5 bill on a guy's lawn. You can't go take it because this chatzor is kind of right. So why isn't this guy's chotzer kaina? So Amri Hachamayaskin on the lesser, somewhere where the lender is not here. He's overseas. The day, where he's here in town, the boy makni matzikani. If he would be able to be maknet, even if he could be kainet, so he's able to be kainet. So kanile nami chatzeres, his chatzer is also be kainet. But if the guy is not here, the boy who lemikni lai matzikani. But because if he wanted to be kainet, he wouldn't be able to. Chatzer nami lekani, so his chatzer is not kainet. A big chiddush in this Havamina of the Gemara. The Gemara seems to be saying that yeah, go ahead.
If you throw the get into the lady's chutzah, she's divorced, yeah?
Right.
So
You're saying she has to be around.
that's what this Gemara is saying, but we know it's not.
Right.
We know she doesn't have to be around.
No, she does have to be around. According to this, Havamina of the Gemara is that the chutzah is only kaina if you're around. Right?
Okay.
That I thought that's what you were saying. That means if she's overseas and a guy,
I was saying the opposite. That's what I was. That she's divorced.
Right. That's what the din is. The Gemara now is saying that she would not be divorced because she's not around. Right? But we paskin like you. That's the next line of the Gemara. But the Gemara says we have a Havamina that this guy overseas cannot be, meaning your chutzah cannot be cut unless you're around, which comes out according to this, that anybody who sells their chametz with me, let's talk practical, yeah? Whoever sells their chametz with me and I'm selling it in Brooklyn, right? And it's going with a chutzah in Brooklyn and you're in Farakwa, you know we're around. Now, I don't know how you define what around means. Either way, the Kinyan chutzah happens in my house in Farakwa, but l'chayra, guys in Eretz Yisrael, guys go, right? They sell the.
Naftali's in Chicago, yeah.
Right, yeah. So they're far away. According to this Gemara, that Kinyan, okay, there's other Kinyanim we do in Mechiras Chametz, but the Kinyan Chatzar doesn't work according to this Gemara. Which taka, but that not for this reason, but some places do not like when somebody sells the chametz. They say you go to Eretz Yisrael, sell your chametz in Eretz Yisrael. But that's really totally because you're selling your chametz that's in New York and Eretz Yisrael. Okay, it's a whole dray. But this l'chayra gives, this havamina gives some power to that thought. But we don't pass it like that, right? So the hilchasad, the lesser b'chatzei.
He has grain going through the past these Yimach Shemayne Houthis, and they switch, and the ship turns around and goes the other way. Yeah. So.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways. So that was the havamina. So we're saying again, the halach is that you don't have to be around for your chutzah to be kind of you. Okay, on a normal night we'll stop here, but tomorrow's daf is quite long, so we'll try and do it for this next Gemara is not easy if it's the beginning of the daf. Kol shekain if it's in overtime. What do they call in soccer? Extra time, right? So, but we got to do it, otherwise we'll fall behind. Okay, now we're into bar. Now we're totally into bar. So the Mishnah. Beginning is pretty easy. Then on Amud Aleph it gets a little sticky. A chayfer bar b'reshus harabim, b'reshus hayachid. The guy digs a bar b'reshus hayachid. U'paschal b'reshus harabim. I mean, a way to think of this is unfortunately, but the tunnels that we're all too used to hearing about, right? They're opening in they have them under their reshus, and the opening comes out in Eretz Yisrael or whatever it is, or close to Eretz Yisrael, right? So a chayfer bar reshus hayachid, paschal reshus harabim. He digs a bar in reshus hayachid, and the opening is in reshus harabim. Right? Or the bar is in Rishus HaYachid, but it opens into a bar is in Rishus HaRam, and it opens in Rishus HaYachid. Right? Then it has to be, Rashi says, that it's somewhere where he makes Rishus HaYachid hefker. Because if a guy, like we've always said with a bar has to be in Rishus HaRam, because if a guy walks into my house and falls into a bar in my yard, well, who asked you to be in my, of course I'm not responsible. Who has to be walking around my house unless you have permission? That's a different story. But we're saying that we're talking about here where he made it hefker. What happens if your bar is your rishus, but the opening to the bar is in your neighbor's rishus, right? So chayev in all these cases you're going to be chayev, right? So meaning, so Rashi says, and this is all talking about where, whichever case it's talking about, there's permission for people to walk there. So Tana Rabbanan. Now we have Machlokes Tanoim, yeah? Or the opposite, right? Chayiv. So the person is chayiv, right? That's the bar that the Torah is talking about. Yeah, Divrei Rabbi Shmuel, that's Shitas Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva Aimer, Hifker Rishusai, V'loi Hifker Bayroi. If a guy is mafke his rishus, but not his bar, meaning all his land he made hefker, but the actual bar he kept as his own, zebar amar b'Torah. That's the bar that's being referred to in the Torah. Right. So what is this machlokes? Right? It sounds very vague. What this machlokes is between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva. Again, Rabbi Kiva seems to say that a bar that's in the Torah is if it's open to Rishus Harabim, and that's Rabbi Shmuel. And Rabbi Kiva says you have to just mafker around it, but even if you keep the bar as a Rishus HaYachid, but as long as around it it's a Rishus Harabim, then that's considered public and Yechayev. So Amar Rabba. But we're gonna have a machlokes, how to understand the machlokes. Anytime you have that, that's already complicated. We're gonna have machlokes, how to understand a machlokes, right? So Amar Rabba. But bar Rishus Harabim, if it's a bar Rishus Harabim, kuli amalei pligid mechayev. That's pashut Yechayev, right? A bar Rishus Harabim Yechayev. That right? My timer Amar Kra ki yiftach chiyichra says when you open a bar and when you dig a bar. See Amal Psicha Chayev if you're chayiv for just opening a bar, meaning there's a hole there already, you just uncovered it. Al kriya like kol shekain. So of course, if you actually dug it yourself, right? Then why do you have to say that for? Elash al iske psicha al iske kriya baloi, right? What it means is that it's coming to talk about the business of opening a bar and digging a bar. So that's meaning that's for sure. Anybody that opens a bar, digs a bar is chayav. By nechelku ella on Kamma Aleph now, ella bebar b'rishusay. The machlokes is if there's a bar in it rishus. Rabbi Kiva saw a bar rishusay nami chayav. Rabbi Kiva says you're going to be chayav on a bar in your own rishus. Of course, obviously, if you are mafkir your rishus to let anybody come in, yosiv bal habar. It says the owner of the bar, which means bebar the islay bailam kamar rachmana. The Torah is saying, as long as the bar is owned by somebody, it's considered his, and he's chayav. Rabbi Shmuel said bal hatakola. When it says the bal habar, it means the owner of the person who owns the actual thing that causes the takola, the tripping. Right. So again, Rabbi Kiva holds that it doesn't make a difference where the bar is. You can be chayav on a bar that's a rishus hayachid as long as there's people that have rishus around the bar, right? And Rabbi Shmuel holds that no, you have to actually dig the bar in rishus harabim to be chayav. That's it. If bar rishus hayachid is not going to be chayav. Go ahead.
There's always people who have rishus from you to go into your yard. Not that you gave them specific rishus. Canary, you have a mother and you have your siblings and you have they can go and they don't have to ask you to go into your yard, into your house. You married children, they have to ask you.
Oh, so I don't know how it works with family. How does it? I don't know. How does it work with
Rabaran, say better if you have a shul in your yard.
I used to have a friend who had a shul in his yard. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but if that shul is invite only.
Oh, shine.
Did that shul have holes in it? Did it have virus? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, lots of virus.
Yeah, okay, there you go. You had gas lines running through it, right? That's a bar.
Right.
But, yeah. So anyway, so
Yoni, if you would have pre-signed for the shofar, we would have kept the shul open. You know that.
Excuse me, I was never asked to blow shofar in that shul.
If you were pre-signed,
I would have thought, but okay, we're not gonna. No.
Anyways, so that's a machlokes Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel, right? So Rabbi Kiva holds that you could be chayav on a bar in Rishus hayachid, Everybody holds a bar Rishus Haram Yechayev. Rabbi Kiva holds you could even be chayav on a bar Rishus HaYachid as long as people have permission to go in there. And Rabbi Shmuel holds no Rishus HaYachid bar potter. Okay, so Elamai Zeu bar Omer b'Torah the Kamma Rabbi Kiva. So what's the bar that it says in the Torah? Right. So Zeu bar shapasach ba'akasav tchilut tashlumin. What it means is that it's referring to this is the bar that you're gonna be, liable to pay for. That's Rabbah. Rabbi Yosef Amar, the machlok is different. The bar b'rishus hayachid kulei amalei pligi de mechayev. Bar b'rishus hayachid. Everybody doesn't agree that they're chayev. My timer. What's the reason? Balabar Amar Achmana. The Balabar, the Torah says, Babar the Islay Baila Maskinon. Talking about a bar that has owners. Ki pligi b'bar b'rishus harabim. Talking about the machlokes in the bar b'rishus harabim. Right? Okay, he's saying the opposite. He's saying by bar in Rishus HaYachid, everybody holds you're going to be chayiv. Right? What about a bar Rishus Haram? Yishmol, so a bar Rishus Haram, nami chayiv. A bar Rishus Haram, you also chayiv. The sit ki yiftach ki yichra. When you open and when you dig. If you're chayiv on the psicha, like kol sheken, al psicha kriya like kol sheken. El shal iske psicha val iske kriya baloi. So it's coming to discuss on the opening of the bar and the digging of the bar, right? Meaning point is it doesn't make a difference where the bar is. If you did it, you did it, right? Rabbi Kiva, meaning you can just dig a hole in the middle of the street and you're going to be the one that's chayav. You don't need ownership. Rabbi Kiva, hanu mitzvah, right? So Rabbi Kiva says you need those psukim. If the Torah would just say if you open that only if you opened it then that's enough. If you opened it, then you could just cover it and finished. So kura loy sagile bekisi. But if you're the one that dug the hole, then you can't just cover it at the time until you fill it up. Right?
I understand.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the fellows who are in real estate know better than me, but I understood that there's people on Ocean Parkway who dig under the public in Ocean Parkway and they build their swimming pools and they build warehouses
or simcha halls or
yeah. So
we're actually the Gemara is going to get that in a few lines. Something similar, not exactly like what you're saying, but something similar. Fine. So let's see. So again, the reason why I need to say ki yiftach, because you would think that if you opened the bars, then you could just close it. But if you dug a bar, then you can't just close it with the cover. You'd have to fill it in. Because maybe when you dug the hole, you need to cover it. Because you did a maisa. But to open it, the loy open maisa, that you didn't do a maisa, you would say you also don't need a kisa. Kamash malon. So they're telling you that it doesn't make a difference. They're interchangeable. Right? Yeah, but the bottom line is the machlokes is if you're chayiv on a bar in Rishus Harab. Okay, what does Rabbi Shmuel say that this is the bar that the Torah says? This is the bar that the Torah was talking about by Nezikin. Meaning, when it says that, it's just using how do you call it? Not a forward, introduction, like an introduction. This is the baris that we're talking about. Okay, so right. So if you have a bar, that was in Rishus HaYachid and opens in Rishus Haram and opens in Rishus HaYachid potter, he's potter. Bava pishainu v'shay lasses came, even though you're not allowed to do this. Because you're not allowed to make a hole under Rishus Harabim. But if somebody digs them in Rishus Hayachid, who pass for the Rishus Harabim, and he opens Rishus Haram, chayiv, he's going to be chayiv. A guy digs a bar in Rishus Hayachid close to Rishus Haram. This is it for Ravana. If a guy digs a foundation, right? Rashi says he digs a foundation for the walls of his house on the width of the whole Rishus Harabim. So you were talking about where he's actually going under the Rishus Harabim. But here's the Gemara talking about where it's mamish. Kol sheken would be by you, but it's mamish on the border. So a potter, he would be potter. Right?
Ocean. What's the Taisha ocean?
Huh?
What's the type?
Foundations.
Ocean.
Ocean.
Ocean means Ocean Parkway, yes.
It's funny that it is that way.
Exactly.
Rabbi Yehuda mechayev ad sheyasa mechitza. So Rabbi Yehuda says you're chayev. I mean, the first sheet is saying you're potter if you put it up in the Rosh Hashanah. Right? But the other one is Rabbi Yehuda is saying you have to put up a wall. Or you have to distance it from where people walk. Or from where animals walk, 4 tov. So the Gemara says, time it, what's the kasha? We still haven't gotten to the kasha. Time it, the luushin. The reason that you're potter is because you're digging a foundation for your house. Halav luushin chayev. But if it wouldn't be that you're digging foundations, you'd be chayev. So how money? Who's the sheet? The Bishlam of the Rabbah, according to Rabbah, Reisha, Rabbi Shmuel, the Sefer, Rabbi Kiva. The Reisha that says you potter when you dig in Rosh Hashanah is Rabbi Shmuel, the Sefer, Rabbi Kiva, and the Sefer that allows it is Rabbi Kiva. El Rabbi Yosef, but according to Rabbi Yosef, Bishlam, the Sefer, Divrei HaKol, the Sefer goes according to everybody. El Reisha money. Who's the Reisha? Lo Rabbi Shmuel, lo Rabbi Kiva. The Reisha is not Rabbi Shmuel, not Rabbi Kiva, according to Rabbi Yosef. The Gemara answers, Amalach Rav Yosef, Kula Divrei HaKoli, the whole brisa is going according to everybody. The Reisha Shaloi Hifker, but the Reisha is talking about where he was not mafker, Loi Reshusay v'Loi Boirei, which we know when you're not mafker it, so then nobody's allowed to be stepping there. If nobody's allowed to be stepping there, you're not going to be chayiv. Obviously, in a very oversimplified way of saying it, right? Amar Rav Ashi. Now going back to Rabbah. Now that we said Rabbi Yosef is going according to everybody, the Rabbah also, you don't have to say Rabbah is in a machlokes tanoim, because the Reish Rabbi Shmuel, Sefer Nami Rabbi Shmuel, because if the Reish is Rabbi Shmuel, the Sefer is also Rabbi Shmuel. The time of the Leushin, and the reason why you potter is because you were digging foundations for a house. Halav Leushin, but if you weren't digging foundations, chayav you chayav. Going what? The arvach arvuchil of. What's the case where you left a space for the Rosh Hashanah? All right. Meaning, I'm sorry, it's not exactly the way to touch it. I think it's better. This is mamish the ocean. Where you're talking about where you're under the ground. Here it's talking about where the guy stole. What do you call it? An easement? Easement? Yeah. He got, I don't know if he got an easement or he didn't get an easement, but he basically stole, like the people's houses that were on by Shayoshev before Shayoshev built. They lost half their backyards. They were not happy campers, right? It was swampland, so why not? They used it. Then all of a sudden Shayoshev came, boom, knocked their back because they built their houses based on that nobody's building houses back there. I think, I don't know. Whoever built the houses figured nobody's going to be there, right? So I don't want to say they stole, but whatever, so that's what we're talking about.
In the end, they were all zeichel to a lot of extra property, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But I'll tell you the mice another time. It's not this year.
That's why if they weren't digging the foundation, they'd be chayiv. Okay, Meisvei. I don't hope it doesn't sound like I really understand this because I'm having a hard time with understanding this. I'm going through I have to do it again. But Meisvei, HaChoifer, Bar B'Shus HaYochid, Pasal B'Shus HaRav. The guy digs a bar in B'Shus HaYochid, then opens B'Shus HaRav, chayiv. He's chayiv. B'Shus HaYochid, a smuchel B'Shus HaRav. But if he digs a bar in B'Shus HaYochid that's close to B'Shus HaRav, Potter is Potter. So Bishlam of the Rabbah. So according to Rabbah, so Kula Rabbi Shmuel, this whole thing is going to Rabbi Shmuel, Ela Rabbi Yosef. But according to Rabbi Yosef, Bishlam a Reisha Rabbi Shmuel. So you can say the Reisha is Rabbi Shmuel, right? So that's why a guy is chayiv if it's in Rosh Hashanah. Ela Seifa, money. Who is the Seifa, right? Lo Rabbi Shmuel, lo Rabbi Kiva. Can't be Rabbi Shmuel, can't be Rabbi Kiva. Amar Loch, so I'll tell you, b'chayfer leushin b'divrei hakol. Again, back to the foundations. Somewhere where a guy built a foundation and it's going according to everybody. Yeah. Okay. I hope that was semi-understandable. If not, I apologize. Okay. Well, let's say some Tillim. Hey Gimel. Shirmas Mala Asaf. Aleman Damilach, Al Techerash, Al Tishkoit El, Kinea, Yevecha, Yemoinim, and Sanachan, the Surash. Al Amacha Yarim, Sodi, Yisial, to Al Tfunach, the Amru, the Chuban Achilim, the Gavi Lazar, Hashem Yisrael Aid. You know, it's Ulev Yachtav, Alecha, Brusi Christ, or Ale, Adam, Yishmael, Mayava, Grim. Kol, Vamoin, Vamalik, Kaleshus, and Yoshvetzar, Gam Asher, Nuba, Iman, Hay Israel, Venel, Loit Selim. Azelam, Communion, consists of Yavim, Menachakisha, Nishmudu, Vein, Dor, Hayadam, and La Adamah. She say my nedivema kaire v'chazei v'chazeva v'tzalmuna kol mesichema. Asher amru mishalano es noizalim alehai. She say me kagalgal kikashit meruach. Keish tavar yorach lava lahet harim. Kein dir devem esarecha v'sufascha sevalim. Alef meim kolim yivakshu shukha adenoi yevoshu v'ivalo ader v'yachru v'yavedu. Yedu ki ata shukha adenoi levadecha al yona kol aretz achinu kol yisrael. Anusunu matzar Hashem yom devem yom devem v'yibasham lokim rachim alehem. V'tzem etzal levacha mifei l'layra m'shiva d'gula. Ashtova agalav zman korib v'neimar omei. Surus Taivus.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So what time is that tomorrow?
3:30.
All right, Shkoyach, thank you.
All
Good
right.
Nacht.
Good.
Okay, Zagazund, everybody.
Also,
Right,
an easy
sir.
tennis.
I got somebody here with 3 questions, so I got to talk to him. His name is Naftali Lime.
I get to Nacht, Kaltov.
Bye bye.